Welcome to the Lead at Home podcast, where every episode is about learning how to develop our parenting skills to achieve the best for our children. Here are your hosts, Sara Franco and Jala Gaines.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Lead at Home podcast. I'm Jala and this is my amazing friend Sara Franco, and today we're going to be talking about what it looks like to lead in your home with contentment. Start us off.
Well, hey, I'm really excited about this, and so glad you guys joined us today for this conversation, because I do think we live in a world that always wants bigger, better,
Yes.
more, and the way that I kind of looked up the word contentment, like what does it actually mean? And it's just being satisfied where life is.
Yeah.
So I think there's just this good tension that we need to have in. It's great to have goals, and it's great to, okay, so years down the road, this is kind of what I want, where I want to be, or, whether it's financially or with a house or children or wherever in life. It's always, a good thing to be looking ahead, but somehow you've got to have that tension of still being content where you are.
Yeah.
And I think I know for me, growing up in the home that I did, it's not something that we necessarily talked about a lot. I don't think contentment is necessarily something that there's always this great big conversation about. It's just kind of looking back, I think, wow, okay, I think I was 2 years old when my parents moved to their house, and they just sold it 2 years ago. So they had that house almost 50 years. And they could have, gotten a bigger house and maybe a nicer neighborhood or things like that. My dad did well. They did get other things like a, place down in Florida, to go vacation, which was nice. But I think sometimes, even at that someone in their financial position may have a hard time staying in this older house and not bigger and better. And I mean, literally, their bedroom could not have even held a king-size bed. It was probably, it was just not big rooms. And same with cars, like, it wasn't like they had junkers, but they would drive these things till they really didn't have much life left in them, as safely driving on the road. So I think that was something that I learned, but I didn't always need the latest and greatest in clothes or, and I went to Catholic school and wore a uniform. So the clothing thing was not, it's like we all looked the same.
Yes, that does
which
help.
in a way I think was kind of nice. I'm a little bit like, I kind of like the idea of uniform. Sorry, kids, but it kind of just kept us all on equal playing ground as far as students. You didn't have to have, all the latest styles. Yeah. So for me, that wasn't really an issue. And so I look back and see there was a lot to growing up in that way that I think helped me just have a greater sense of just contentment. And I do think contentment also is really centered around that idea of thankfulness. I'm thankful for what I have. And it may not be everything that this person has, but I have enough. And it's good.
Yeah, I'm thinking about just how my mindset kind of was. When I was in high school, I went to a high school that was very, it was in a very affluent community. Everyone had lots of money, living in $2, $3, $4 million houses.
Oh, wow.
And me, I was on the opposite side of town in a very small apartment, me and my mom, dad, and brother. And I remember just always feeling out of place and very insecure. I would walk around and everyone would have on, like at the time, I think Ugg boots were like a huge thing. Yes. And everyone had a pair of Ugg boots. Mm-hmm. And I had the generic bear paws that looked like they looked like Uggs, but they were the little knockoffs. Yes. And, I just remember feeling so insecure about them, and it was a rough time. Those 4 years just were not the best for me. But as I matured and things like that, and I look back on it, I'm like, I'm grateful that I didn't have all that stuff, because it's like you have all these things and it's like you don't learn to appreciate any of it. Any of it can be gone in a second. And
right.
I don't know. I think I really appreciate over the years having a more humble lifestyle, I guess.
Yeah.
Because now I can take whatever I have in life and be present with that and know, like, it is enough. Like you said, my mom, I remember watching her growing up too, because just living in that apartment, I know it was probably hard on her, sitting her kids off and knowing everyone around them has all this stuff and I can't provide all that stuff for them.
Sure.
And so, but now, I mean, she has a house now and she has the things that she was longing for before, but I think she would have been fine if she never got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just interesting. I don't really reminisce on that time, so just hearing you talk and thinking about it, I'm just like, wow. Like, it also has a lot to do with your environment. Like I said, I grew up in a very rich community, and I feel like that can impact you a ton. You don't realize how much what other people has, like, influences you. And then you're like, I don't have this, I don't have that. But it's like, is it really necessary? You know?
So yeah, and I think that brings up just a couple of things in my mind. Is number one, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing to have money or have things.
No, yeah.
But I think you almost have to be a little bit more intentional about being content and teaching contentment in your home if you do have a lot of money and the ability to buy your kids whatever anytime. And just teaching them the importance of learning to be content so that they don't always feel like they need the next and the newest and the best of everything all the time. And denying our kids things can be a healthy thing.
Yeah.
And so I think, I guess if you're listening and you're in that position where you do have the ability to buy those things for your children, I would just caution you to, whether it is give them jobs around the house to earn that money and teach them then to manage their money if you want to do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where they're learning that responsibility. I know my kids personally found it much easier to spend my money than their own. So maybe they won't want it so badly if it's their own money they're spending. But yeah, I think also just that issue of, you brought up a really good point of the high school years and the middle school years, I would add, can be really difficult if you are in that position. It can be really hard to walk through the halls of a school and feel, I feel like just naturally as humans, we kind of compare ourselves anyway. But especially during those years, and I think it's really easy to feel like everybody has this, I'm the only one that doesn't. And that may or may not be true. I mean, maybe in your situation it was, because that sounds like a pretty rich area.
Yes.
But I think, probably a lot of times it isn't true that everybody is like that. And so how do we reinforce that to our children, to our teenagers in those vulnerable kind of places. What are ways that we can do that, you think?
I feel like you said, what was really good, just the whole money concept and kind of teaching them, like, we live in the age of consumerism where everyone's like, buy. So teaching them kind of like the good things in life aren't always bought. Like we experience the best things in life through travel and through time with people we love.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
Yeah, just explaining that whole concept to them, because I feel like no one takes the time these days to kind of just sit down with that age group, the middle school and the high schoolers, and just kind of say, like, hey guys, this is not where our worth and our value is found. And I think I would have benefited a lot from just having a conversation about it, because I feel like everyone's just kind of go, but it's like, no, we need to talk about this. And just money and like you said, it's not a bad thing.
Right.
But if used frivolously and without thought and without intention, like you said, it can be a bad thing. So I just think I really think conversations would help a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like what you said too, is maybe not making everything about material possessions, but, you know, time together, making memories.
Yes.
You know, and enjoying those kind of moments together and realizing, like, you know, material things, I mean, number one, they're always going to come out with something bigger and better.
Always.
And, you know,
always.
I mean,
always.
How many, what number iPhone are we on now?
It's about to be 15.
So, you know, when you think about when those iPhones first came out, what a huge deal a smartphone was. And now if you would, or even a flip phone. Hey,
I had one.
My girls had the flip phones in middle school. And that was a big deal back then.
Yeah.
And by the time we got to my son, who was 10 years later, he's like, right? I would rather have nothing than have a flip phone.
Exactly.
And so, you know, it is really interesting, because there is always this, you know, like you said, the consumerism. They're always making things bigger and better and faster. And, I mean, yeah, it's hard to keep up as a parent. And I don't think it's our job to keep up, really. I think there are going to be moments when we can have those big splurges and, you know, okay, now we have a new gaming system in the house, you know, but guess what? This gaming system is going to be our gaming system for the next 5 to 10 years. At least that's how it works in our house. And you just like, okay, let's enjoy it. And the whole purpose isn't to just accumulate things and have more. Like we can't take it with us.
Nope.
Nobody does.
Nope.
And so, just always having that mindset of realizing, you know, what is really, truly important in life. And that's where I think that contentment can come, you know, where we have an attitude of thankfulness and gratitude, and just recognizing the value of the other things too. So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Wow. This is good. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, I did too. And hopefully it'll be kind of a good reminder as we get into whether it's moving into like birthdays or holidays, Christmas, things like that. It doesn't always have to be bigger, vacations, whatever. Sometimes it's the simple things that can really be super sweet and special.
Wow. So. You heard it here, folks. Simple life.
Yes. Let's do it.
If you enjoyed today's episode, you can find more episodes just of me and Sarah talking about various topics on anywhere that you can find a podcast. So Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, we're there waiting for you guys.
Yeah, let us know if there's anything in particular you want to talk about. We'd love to do it.
Yes, we would love to talk about it. So yeah, we'll see you next time, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.